Any DOMs?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really feeling it from yesterday. I didn't have good enough footwear.
Ah.
It's hard doing media out there.
Absolutely.
How about you? How are you doing?
I cramped. I think I got my electrolytes wrong, and I definitely got my nutrition
Get a
wrong.
hamstring, like.
Yeah. Not enough frogs. So it's the day after the race.
It was a great race, Bevan. Oh my gosh. World records were set in tough conditions.
Yep.
The women's race turned into what was supposed to be basically Daniela's, turned into a massive roll of the dice, and so exciting.
Yeah, changing of the guard and then a re-establishing of the old guard.
Yeah. So coming up on the show, we're going to tell you about our contest, if you haven't heard already, and we're going to talk to some of the race winners. So it's our 6th and final episode, the race recap episode of Fitter and Feisty, Kona Daily News Show, powered by Wahoo. I'm Sara Gross from Live Feisty Media, and I'm here with my lovely co-host.
I'm Bevan McKinnon from Fitter Coaching.
And we are also running a contest, so if you haven't heard, we are giving away a 4i dual-sided power meter, and you can win that contest by
tagging 3 of your friends who would like to enjoy these videos
in the comments below.
And we're going to offer an extra opportunity.
Yeah, bonus entry. If you've already tagged all your friends and you don't have 3 more friends to tag, you can just share the video and you can have an extra entry from that. So Bevan, okay, let's start with the men's race. I think a lot of people were betting on Jan Frodeno.
Yeah.
But I don't think we were expecting him to deliver quite that spectacular a performance.
Yeah, it was an absolute masterclass. It was almost like he was the policeman controlling the race the entire day. He's always been a front pack swimmer. He's shown in the last few years that he can just control the race on the bike, be wherever he needs to be. But to then ease away at the end of the bike, not let the other cyclists catch him. And what I mean by that is the likes of the Keenlays and the Worths and the Sanders coming from behind. He stayed with his main group, but then when he needed to, just eased off the front of those guys and came into transition with, I think it was about a 3.5 minute lead.
Yeah. And like you say, that is a masterclass, right? If you were going to plan a Kona win, that's how you would plan it. You would kind of stick with the main group, take advantage of being around other people on the bike, and near the end pull away and take it on the marathon. And that's what he did.
It's a dream race.
Yeah.
I actually saw him at one point on the coverage. He was that relaxed on the bike that I think Brownlee was leading, and he came up behind him and he was just about on the edge of the 12-meter draft zone, and he's down on his aero bars, and he was just doing this with his hands. It was just like, this is just no stress at all.
Right.
I'm just ready. I'm basically ready to go when I need to. And then when he left them at that crucial point of the bike ride, coming into town, in the press conference he mentioned he took transition really slow and controlled. He got his watch, got the sunscreen, got everything he needed to do. Set out on the run course, and it was very early on a Leahy Drive where I think Thomas Hellriegel, an ex-winner here, mentioned to him that he only had to run under 2:44 to break the existing Ironman world record.
And he did.
And he did, and he wasn't challenged from the athletes behind to do so.
Right.
And maybe it didn't look like that, but you're always looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
But not having the stimulus of it being that close on the run, to still go out there and produce a run that's, low 240s, I think 242, and to comfortably go under that world record on what was a more difficult bike day than the previous year when the record was set. Why not?
Unreal.
Yeah, why not come back again next year? I don't know if he will, but it was a spectacular...
Well, I called it. Me and 99% of other triathlon pundits, but still.
I know, he was a dark horse. He was such a dark horse going in.
It was such a hard pick, but I called it. Yeah. But what I didn't call actually was Tim O'Donnell.
No, and Tio, like a good red wine.
Yeah.
You know, getting better and better.
Yeah.
And no run form coming in off the back of an injury. He's probably, as he said to me in conversation after the race, does he need to revisit how he prepares for this event? Do you need those run miles like you think you do? Because he actually ran, I think, his PB run split here. Like his
really?
He has 2 lifetime goals.
Unreal.
And he'll correct me if I'm wrong here, were to go under 8 hours and to run take the family run record.
Yeah.
And he did both of those.
Oh, the family run record. I like that.
To finish second. And then, look, the other major players attempted to stamp their mark on the race. Alistair Brownlee did what we thought he was going to do. Which is be prominent.
Right.
And exert
Take
himself.
some risks.
Yeah, exert himself on the race. He got a puncture at the turn at Harvey, and maybe the attempt after the puncture to get him back involved in the front group is what ultimately cost him once he got to the run. But in saying that, though, out on Alihi when we first saw him, I said straight away, nah, he's suffering, and that's too early in the marathon to be suffering. Yeah,
especially when you'd seen Jan and Tim come by already. Yeah. You know what good looks like. And Alistair wasn't quite there.
Yeah. And then the other guys that we thought would make up the swim deficit just weren't given the opportunity. Cam Worth tried for all he could to bridge that gap. Some of the other Uber bikers like Starkowitz didn't even start. The other stories were Patrick Lang pulling out early in the race.
Why did he pull out? Do you know?
I just don't think he was up for the challenge, maybe physically leading in. I've seen that there's a post go up today, but I haven't followed exactly what it is. But he pulled to the side of the road very early in the bike leg, having lost the front group, having a career best swim. So he came out with the major players in the swim, which shocked Jan at one point in the swim, albeit that when he saw Patrick in that lead group, he mentioned that that's not where Patrick should be, and maybe he's cooked himself in the swim. Right. But then David McNamee, who's snuck onto the podium with great races in the last couple of years, pulled out very early in the race. So there was it was what we expected at the end of the day, but how we arrived there with the other people coming and going was slightly unexpected.
Yeah, there were sort of spectacular performances up here, and then quite a bit of carnage down here, more than most years. Yeah. So a world record and complete chaos.
Yeah, and it wasn't the hottest race on record. There were points on Alihi when the sun went behind the clouds that made Alihi Drive actually really quite comfortable to run in. There was wind out on the bike, but not radical wind, and that did affect the race in some regards. But look, Jan went under the world record when last year world records tumbled in age group in the professional race, left, right and centre. So I think Jan's made a lot of the top men reconsider what it might take.
Sit up and take notice.
Yeah.
And so the women's race. Let's talk about that. I mean, the women's race. So first of all, kudos to Daniela, who it sounds like went in feeling a bit sick. And, carried on like a champion and ended up finishing 13th.
Yeah, and she tried to make up the deficit of the swim that was never able to happen on the bike, and then she really went for it on the run, but ultimately paid the price a little bit. Do you know, the funny thing is what came out of the women's race for me, and we talked about it before our recording, is that a lot of women had gone away and worked on their run. Lucy Charles had worked on her run. Heather Jackson had worked on their run. But if you overbike, you're never able to access that. And I think in Lucy's case, she really went for it on the bike. Well, I think with Daniela in her mind. But didn't realise Daniela wasn't having the day that she hoped for, and maybe the first place that Lucy could have got with a slightly more conservative bike could have been there. But then when someone's running a 251,
oh my gosh, Anne Haug, I mean,
the training camp in Brazil.
I know it was in Brazil. It was in Sedona, Arizona, in 2012.
That's right.
Where I may have run on the track behind Annie, looking at the back of her on a few occasions.
Imparting your wisdom.
Obviously, I imparted a little bit of wisdom.
Yeah.
And clearly she took it to heart in yesterday's race. Yeah. And no, she was another one, honestly, like we talked about Jan, but she seemed to be in control all day long.
Yeah.
She had an amazing swim.
Incredible
super
swim.
strong bike, and then a record-setting run. So we actually, Ashley Wiles from the Iron Women podcast caught up with Annie after the race.
Did you think this was going to happen yesterday?
I dreamed of it, but I mean, I never thought it could happen. But I mean, in my dreams it happens a lot, so that's the motivation I have every day in training. And I mean, you can always show a good performance, but for the win you need this extra bit of luck, and today the luck was on my side, and I'm super happy with that.
Oh my gosh, I think you were in a lot of people's picks for that podium. Did you know you could run that fast?
No, I didn't know that, because I mean I haven't done much of run training. I haven't a lot of Ks in my legs, but it felt very strong from the first K on, and I was just hoping for that I could hold it together until the finish line. And yeah, it was just amazing. And in the end, the crowd really helps, and if you see Kona, then it motivates you. And yeah, in the past your swim hasn't been like so strong, and you were right up there in the front pack, and I think that might have been your secret weapon. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, that was for sure the basic of the win today, because if you're in the front pack, you have the race a bit under your control. You don't have just to react to things happening.
Yeah.
You can be a game changer as well, and you have some decisions to make. So it was definitely the basic of a good performance today.
Yeah. Do you think, like, have you been training specifically on that swim to make this happen?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I have my very first swim coach is coaching me for 2 years now.
Really? Your very first one
Yeah,
ever?
from the university, yes.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Yeah, that for sure. I like his training plans, and it makes me really fit. And yeah, I was surprised, to be honest. It was always a dream of mine to be in the first pack, and that it happens was like fantastic. So
oh my gosh,
yeah.
So cool. So what's next? Like, how do you go from world champion? Like, do you get some time off to like
now
chill?
It's season break. I definitely want to go home and see my family, because that's always something I don't have time for, but now I take the time, go home and have some good quality time with my family, and that I'm really looking forward to.
Are you going to have like a cheat meal or something, like to be like, oh, I wish I could have had this during training?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely looking forward to a really fatty pizza.
A really fatty pizza, like with all the things on it?
Yeah, like a Pizza Hut pizza, like that. Yeah, that would be amazing. Maybe
Awesome.
not yet, because my stomach, I think, can't handle that after a race, but for sure tomorrow.
Yeah, no kidding. Can I ask you one last question?
Yeah.
What did you eat, like, out there? What makes you go faster?
Oh, at the end, I took everything I got, to be honest. Gatorade, Red Bull, Cola, everything. Just
All
get
the
the fluids and energy in, and yeah. So I have a really tough stomach, but normally I take the NFT. That's a special like shale-like thing, and that makes me really like going.
I do find it interesting at the end there when Annie said about how she was just taking in stuff at the end of the run, Gatorade, Red Bull, all of the things. And I do think that's one of the secrets to being a champion here, is a guts of steel.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a debate whether you can train your gut to get better, which, you know, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But I think a lot of people are just born with that. And I know that in Ironman racing, if you're one of those lucky ones that has that cast iron gut, is what Annie described, your ability to keep going in the back end of the race is so much a higher chance of that happening, because when you're completely depleted and you're really fatigued, you just reach for whatever you can. Frogs, for instance.
For example, I still have them here on set.
Yeah, just at the moment, no.
Okay.
My gut's a little bit sensitive.
Right.
But look, she was talking about getting anything in, and when you're trying to not slow down at the very end, you've got to go for what you know you can tolerate. And boy, she described it. Everything was going in.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Lucy Charles, who, you know, you talked earlier about people who biked maybe a little too hard. But I think Lucy, you know, Lucy came in knowing that was how she was going to win. She took a bit of a risk going a little hard on the bike. And it didn't quite pay off for the win. She's now been third No, sorry, second 3 times.
Yeah.
And she was clearly a little bit disappointed when we talked to her after.
Well, today I rolled the dice. I just went all in, and for a minute I thought, well, for more than a minute, I thought I might actually get the win today, and then there was also times where I thought I might not even finish because 1K into the run, my quads just started cramping. Then at other intervals in the run, my calves went, my adductors went. It was just like, if it goes full-blown cramp, then I'm out. So luckily it didn't, and it helped having my husband Reese at like, I think about 3 miles from the finish. He was like, you have to push now, I think you can get second. And then I ended up in the medical tent, but I did get second.
Yeah, you definitely looked like you were headed straight to the medical tent that last 500 meters.
Yeah, I don't think I was even like talking properly in any post-race interviews at the finish line. I was like slurring my words. I was like, I just need to lay down. So all good now though.
Bevan, what I thought was amazing about Lucy's race was how she sort of fell back into 3rd place and then made a comeback back to 2nd. And that's really, really rare here and really gutsy.
Well, when Annie passed her in the energy lab, I think for me, I was watching it thinking she's tried to stay in front for as long as possible. And when that first person passes you, psychologically, you know, the roof falls in because she'd been at the front all day, and I thought next will be Sarah Crowley and maybe someone else.
Yeah, you kind of wonder how far back she's going to go.
Yeah, and she looked like she was working hard at that point, and there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
But to re-overtake Sarah Crowley again to get to 2nd shows how tough she is.
Yeah.
And maybe she's the same as Annie. She was the one that fueled better in that last part of the race.
Yeah, and I think that her mindset too shows that she can be a champion here. So we'll be rooting for her in future years for sure.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people had much bigger problems than Lucy out there.
Oh, I mean, the thing about Kona is you've got to come here super fit, psychologically ready, and then a little bit of luck has to go your way. Because I see more little things affect people's races here than any other race. You know, mechanical, Sarah True in the swim had a mechanical, I think, literally leaving transition. She's in this chase group. You know, next minute she's 10 minutes behind. Her day's over.
Jen Annett, who descending down Palani at the first part of the bike ride, clipped the moto in front of her.
Wow.
And well, the moto slowed down and ended up off. I was standing nearby and I heard it, just like, you know, that horrible sound of carbon fiber hitting the ground.
No.
Oh, yeah. It was not a fun moment, especially knowing it was Jen too, and she's our Canadian from Penticton. My heart just went, oh. And
then you have those situations where you have not just carbon hitting the ground, but people hitting carbon.
Right. That's true. Not just the bike.
In Linsey Corbin's case, again, having the swim of her life, coming out with her great mate Heather Jackson, and then stuffing up transition and falling over her bike and cutting her leg, and then losing that particular group. Yeah. She resurrected her day to get 10th, which seems to be that's Lindsay's position in Kona. She's got that locked down.
Yeah.
And I came out with Heather Jackson, who I've been training with, and I was so excited to come out with her.
Did you say anything?
Yes, we've been watching this show on Netflix, The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, we know it.
Yeah, it has a few sayings. So I caught her at the bikes, and I said, under his eye, and I was so excited, and we were pulling our bikes out, and I actually wrecked my bike and dropped the chain. So I lost that whole group, like all that work. I lost them that I swam with, and then it was maybe it was a blessing, but I really just then rode my own race. I kind of rode by on my own, and I think the women really split up. It was very windy out there, and I just picked people off one at a time, and just really took care of myself. Heat off, nutrition, controlled what I could control, and then I thought I would run close to 3 hours. I think I did, and ran my way to 10th. So
a stock standard Corbs Kona execution.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just a diesel that's always picking up the pieces as you go. So yeah, I mean, you can't complain with top 10.
So one of Corb's great mates is Heather Jackson, and I think everyone else is having slightly different races this year. But the one person who came here and did what is pretty much her stock standard race was HJ, and we spoke to her after the race.
I was really trying to just race my own race, like I said. Making sure it felt easy to hubby, and then push it on hubby. I was just picturing I was on Mount Lemon. 40-minute climb. It was about 50. Yeah, just trying to do my own thing, and then it was good when I do it that way, because there's always someone in the distance. So it like, it's, for me, coming from behind, it's okay, pick them off from afar. You can see it, set your sights, try to get up to them.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All that run work, did it pay off?
Yeah. I think so, yeah. I felt better than I have here in the past, for sure. This is so tough to say, okay, I want to run this type of run, and then you add the heat in here. And the wind, it was a headwind all the way back. So I was trying to like run into the age groupers like as a bit of a block, but yeah, it was, I felt strong throughout. So, and I held back, like the plan was it should feel easy till you get up Pilani, feel easy till you're up Pilani. So I was trying to really hold back at the start.
So HJ getting back into the top 5 was a really important result for her, but we haven't even mentioned Laura Phillip on debut.
Yes, 4th place.
4th place. Bike and run that shows that if her swim gets to that position, she's going to be a force to be reckoned with next year again.
Yeah.
And Sara Crowley, we always knew she was going to be in the mix.
And Sara Crowley struggled last year.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when I saw her after, she said she was really happy to just kind of prove to herself that she could come back and have another Sara Crowley race.
Yeah.
So there she was, took the 3rd podium spot.
And ran under 3 hours.
Yeah, she had a great race.
Yeah, and it would have been devastating for her at that moment with Lucy Charles getting into 2nd and then falling back to 3rd again. That must be heartbreaking, but look, she's so consistent when she gets here to Kona.
So Bevan, this is our last episode. What was your favorite moment of recording the show?
Actually recording the show. Like actually delivering on what we said we were going to do.
I know. It's like a miracle
that it happened. 6 weeks ago, we spent all year until 6 weeks
talking
ago.
about, we're going to do it. Then 6 weeks ago.
It came together.
Yeah.
And I would actually say a big shout out to Steve, who's pulled this all together for us. I know we've done it on socials, but yeah, wow.
Yeah, amazing.
What about you?
Okay, my favorite is when Jocelyn dubbed you in on eating all the carbs on your bike ride and getting dropped. That was my favorite moment.
It's funny that people do like it when I've been taken down a peg or two.
I know.
Yeah.
It's funny. I can't imagine why. Yeah.
I can't understand why, but there you go.
And before we go, we definitely want to thank our sponsors.
Yeah.
So Wahoo for powering the show. We couldn't be here without you.
Yeah.
Waddy Inc.
Waddy Inc. for crashing their pad, supporting the show day in and day out and giving us this awesome opportunity to record from this venue.
Yeah, and just like letting us hang out and take over their space.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Been great.
And what a great bunch of people.
Yeah, and 4i, who provided the power meter for our contest, which do not forget to enter. We will be choosing a winner tomorrow.
Yep.
And you can win by tagging 3 friends. We do this in the comments below.
Or an extra entry.
You can get an extra entry by sharing this. And also, if you share it, you'll help us be able to come back and do this again next year. So
share, and we'll be here next year.
Exactly. So you can win the power meter and you can win us.
But there's another way to win something if you don't win the prize.
Yeah, absolutely. So Athletica Rewards, our final sponsor, they've been amazing. If you want to win things every day just for being athletic, you sign up for their rewards program at athleticarewards.com, and you can win. Basically, you can get discounts on products that you need for your athletic life.
Yeah, and a number of those products under that umbrella are the people who are supporting our show as well, and the likes of Wahoo and so forth. So, get involved, earn yourself some discounts, stay healthy.
Yeah, win, win, win. All right, thanks for watching.
And we'll see you again next year.